Gimme, gimme, gimme this life so sweet. 5 times under the Tennessee sky. Rebel hearts beating in the summer nights sky. Curfews, whispers in the dark. We wrote our story. It's the Nürburgring heat. That Nürburgring beat.
Well, a very good morning and a warm welcome to the iconic Nürburgring for round 3 of the GT Summer Series. It's a track that all our teams and drivers, and indeed the two gentlemen alongside me, have been looking forward to coming to. It is, well, it's something of a pilgrimage for motorsport people, isn't it? And we are here at the Nürburgring, and because of that, Adam Weller, the grid has grown and we have got new entries, and it's going to be an exciting weekend ahead.
Oh, naturalish. Yes, of course. Sorry. Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting one. I was just briefly talking to Marcus Gedlich a few moments ago, and I said, you know what, I think this is going to be one of the races of the season. Not only is it going to be immensely challenging for everyone in these very warm conditions, but also just that mix of cars at the front, that mix of faces at the front. Haupter here for the first time with a Mustang and Antoine Berberish Martini. You've got Fabian Di Bianca in a sprint race for the first time. He's going to make things interesting. And then we've got our GT3 regulars. Stefan Weininger's here for the first time. I think it's the best grid in terms of competition depth that we've had all season, and I think that the race we're about to see, it's going to be sweltering, but it's going to be worth dealing with the heat for.
Yeah, you're certainly right. I mean, things are heating up both on and off the track. It is scorching temperatures. Adam's kind of mentioned how difficult that's going to be. What do you think that's going to be like for the drivers inside the car? I know it's only a 30-minute sprint race, but still, 30 minutes in the sweltering heat is quite a lot.
Well, look, if we're uncomfortable and we're wearing, shorts and polo shirts, think how they're going to be feeling in the cars. They're wearing a lot more layers than we are. Only 30 minutes, but that's going to feel like an hour or more. They'll be very grateful to see the checkered flag, I think. A lot of these drivers are AMP drivers who only drive a handful of times a year. Very rarely in conditions like these, and it will affect all sorts of things. The physical fatigue that the drivers will feel, but mental fatigue as well. It's so hard to keep the concentration. We've all experienced brain fog this weekend, and again, we're not driving the racing cars, so it's going to be incredibly challenging, but, the best will rise to the top, won't they? And maybe there is a slight advantage for some of the younger, aspiring professional drivers. Fabian Di Bianca, for example, was very confident in his ability to cope with the conditions yesterday. Time will tell if that's the case.
Yeah, we've had a chance to catch up with some of our teams and drivers already throughout the weekend. You'll see behind us, as always, the Heroes Arena is going to be filled up. We've already got our pole sitter, Thomas Vestal, the car just being rolled in behind us. The Heroes Arena will be filling up very, very shortly. And as these two have said, Fabian Di Bianca taking part in a sprint race for the first time this season. He starts down in P6. I don't think he is going to be there for long, though. We will bring you the grid walk very shortly. But these two have been busy. I've been busy chatting to some of our drivers throughout the weekend already. And we can take a look now at who we spoke to in the Heroes Arena. Well, we have plenty of new entrants with us this weekend here at Nürburgring in the GT Summer Series, and one of those joins me now. David, you are not new to the Gedlich racing paddocks. You've competed with us in Winter Series some time ago, but you are back. Welcome back. It's great to have you back. And what was the reason for coming to compete this weekend?
Well, to be very open, it's very close to my hometown in Cologne. I was very happy. I love the Grand Prix track at Nürburgring. Great pleasure. I saw that you guys are going to be here, and called on my team, said I would want to do a guest start, well, it's always a pleasure. Like, the weather is great, pretty hot this weekend. We got cool competition, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you certainly do have some competition. So you say you're local to this track. Yes. Have you driven much here before?
Yes, I did. I had my own car a few years ago, now renting in with the East Racing team. So I've always enjoyed doing the Grand Prix Nürburgring racing, and it's actually one of my two favorite tracks.
What's the other one?
Red Bull Ring.
Oh, okay, good tracks, very good
Yes.
tracks to pick. So you say, you've got a lot of competition this weekend. You're in our GT4 AM Plus. It's been a pretty interesting season for them so far. Where do you think that you might be able to stack up? Is a podium, maybe even a win on the cards?
Well, let's see, we're trying to get a podium. I'm very, very blessed, lucky. I got a great coach with me, so we managed to get faster and faster basically since yesterday morning. And let's see, we're trying to get up there.
Yeah, you mentioned your coach. You're working with Liram Zendelli, of course, a very accomplished racer himself. What kind of tips has he been giving you for this track specifically? Don't give away all your secrets, though.
Well, he's very patient with me. He's done a fantastic job. Very fine guy. He's so much better than I am. He beat me by around 10 seconds on the track. So, but actually, he's fantastic in helping me find the right braking points. And some tricks that I'm not able to share on this interview, but actually I'm very happy to have him with me.
Yeah, well, you've been working with him, and as you say, he may have been 10 seconds quicker than you, but the point is that he coaches you and he kind of helps you to get quicker, and that really is what you're hoping to do this weekend, right?
Yes.
And then you talked about the heat. We're standing here in the baking sun.
Yes.
How typical is that going to be?
Well, it's going to be okay. So I did draw it with an echo. Shut down to get a little bit more speed, but it's going to be fine. Like, it's just a 20. Let's be real. Like, it's a 30 minutes race. It's not a 24-hour all-day race. So it's going to be okay.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. It's a short sprint race, but I mean, it still can get hot in there, and obviously concentration levels are going to be the most important thing. And this heat can sometimes make it difficult to concentrate.
That's true. Actually, luckily, I'm in the best shape I ever was in the last 10 years. So did a lot of prep training before I got here, and I actually feel good. Like, even though it's hot, but I'm going to be okay.
Well,
Just
we're very excited to see what you can do this weekend. Thank you for joining
Thank you so
us
much.
in the baking sunshine, and very best of luck this weekend.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'm joined here in the Heroes Arena by Daniel Badum, who is the DB of DB Motorsports, the team that run Hermann Speck's beautiful Porsche 992 GT3R behind us. Daniel, thank you for joining us. Welcome back to the Summer Series. It finally feels like summer.
Yeah, finally feels like summer. A little bit too hot, maybe.
No, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. Now, you've been working with Hermann for quite a long time. That is maybe an understatement. Most of your life, is that right?
That's right, yeah. Maybe something about like 20 years almost,
Wow.
I would say, yeah. Since 2007, probably, I started my apprenticeship, or 8. And yeah, since this time I work with Hermann together.
So it started with an apprenticeship. Obviously, it's a relationship that has worked well because you've stayed with him. What's he like to work with?
What do you like to work with?
Well, is he nice to work with? Is he fun?
Yeah. No, I mean, Hermann and me and all the team, we are like almost friends, I would say. It's not no more work. It's like a friendship, and we do it because it's fun, you know. So yeah.
It's nice to see that, actually, because motor racing is often so serious, and you know, there's a lot of money being spent, a lot of time and effort put into it. But I think that's one of the nice things about the Summer Series. It feels quite relaxed, and I think drivers like Hermann can really sort of relax and enjoy themselves here. Is that how he's feeling?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That's like it is.
Now, you've worked with him a long time. Any funny stories that are broadcastable? Remember, we're going out on TV, but any funny stories about Hermann?
About Hermann, yeah, there are maybe a lot of funny stories. In which direction do you want to go?
Wherever you want to go.
I have to think about Hermann. Hermann, weißt du einfache stories? Do you know?
Hermann, I should say, for context, is watching and filming the whole interview behind
Funny
us.
stories.
Clearly not. Obviously, I've misinterpreted Hermann. I thought he was a very fun guy.
I have to think about it because right now I'm not.
It's fine. We'll ask you later this weekend. It's fine.
Ask me later. I have to think about it.
Now, this weekend, Nürburgring, we've mentioned the weather, very hot weather. That presents a lot of challenges for the drivers, but also for the team, right? They're working in very tough conditions. What do you do differently as a team ahead of a weekend like this?
Would it be different than the other times?
Because of the warmer conditions, looking after the team.
I mean, we try to get a lot of shadow.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the car is always extremely hot. We need to. The tires are, you know, the street is hotter than the other time. So yeah, we try to keep everything cool. And the driver, he is air conditioned in the car, so he's the coolest one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all. We drink a lot, and we hope that the car can stand the heat. That's it.
It's not the first time Herman's been referred to as the coolest one at the racetrack, I can tell you. Daniel, thank you for having a chat
No
with
problem.
us, and we look forward to seeing how he and the team get on this weekend.
Well, welcome back to the Heroes Arena. Always great to chat to some of our drivers leading into the weekend. And as promised, the Heroes Arena has now filled up with our grid. So we are going to, as always, walk you through the grid. It is going to be the number 45 of Thomas Verstappen once again on pole position. He's making a habit of getting these pole positions, but as Adam and Andy discussed with us, he's got a bit more competition this weekend, certainly in the GT3 class, and certainly as well in Fabian Di Bianca. He is our championship leader, but only by 4 points to Mike Janza, who had a fantastic weekend in Oschersleben, and that has put him P2 in the championship. So there is the number 45 that we've seen so often out in front of Thomas Verstappen. He will be joined on the front row by this car here. Haupt Racing Team join our grid for the first time in the GT Summer Series, the 109, going to be driven by Antoine Beveridge Martini, and this is a GT3 Pro car, so it will be carrying extra ballast compared to the GT3 AM car, but I think it's going to give Thomas Verstappen a run for his money. Now, if you think that I am warm, which I can tell you I am, take a look at these mechanics, because they are in their fire suits, and spare a thought for them this morning. They've all got hats and sunglasses on. The temperatures at the moment around 35, 36 degrees, and inside those cockpits it is going to be even hotter. We then come to the second row of the grid, and just behind you can see with the reflective cover on, just trying to keep that heat out of the car, is another new entry, and this is the number 12 of Stefan Weininger. Now, he was a runner-up in STT last year, so also great to welcome him to our grid. There's a lot of talent on this grid this weekend. We also welcome back the number 9 of Gregor Drysdale. Now, Gregor was with us in Hockenheim, didn't do Oschersleben, but great to welcome him back. Now, understandably, a lot of the drivers have chosen to stay in the shade for the next few minutes. One driver that hasn't, though, is this man here, and we can see him with his water bottle. I'm going to come over and have a chat with him. It's Fabian Di Bianca, just getting that last little bits of shade. Well, you're doing a sprint race for the first time in the GT Summer Series, all by yourself. You start P6. I suspect you're probably not going to be there for long, though. How far up the grid do you think you can get?
Yeah, we'll see. I don't want to, say anything about where I will be, because time will show. I hope I can gain some positions on the first corner in the first lap on the start, and we will see. I hope I'll give an exciting race, and I hope there'll be some overtakes to watch.
And you've been here before, and you've done well here before as well, still on the podium, I believe, in a different championship. So what is it about this track that you like?
I mean, it's the history around this track. I mean, there's a lot of stories behind this track. They have the 24 hours of Nürburgring. There's a lot of races on this track overall. So this is what I like about this track. Also the high-speed corners. This is what I love, and this is where I feel the most confident in. So yeah, it's just one of my favorite tracks, to be honest.
Well, good luck, enjoy it, and we might be speaking to you at the end if he makes it onto the overall podium. Just to point out as well, they are running a new livery on this car this weekend, and Adam and I were saying earlier that we quite like the look of it. It looks very, very special. We understand that Igor Plyer will be back with us hopefully tomorrow, but because he's not here today, Fabian will be taking over solo duty, so we will see how far up he can get. Next comes the number 7 of Hermann Speck. Now, I spoke to Hermann yesterday about the AC situation in his car, and he was telling me that when he goes down the straights the AC is off. As soon as he brakes he feels that kind of waft of cold air, and it's like a bit of a welcome relief. Now, most of these cars do have AC. One that it's not working this weekend is this one, the number 11, another new entry. Martin Hansen joins us for the first time. First time racing outside of Denmark for Martin, and I got a chance to chat to him yesterday, and he was really excited to see what he can do. He calls this a proper racetrack, and we are hoping for a proper race from him. But this is a solo job in terms of the fact they're not running with a team. They don't have data, they don't have a big team behind them. They're doing everything themselves, and there is no AC in this car, so only a 30-minute sprint race, but it's going to get warm. Next along comes the number 3 of Mike Jansen. Now, as I said, he currently sits P2 in the championship after a fantastic weekend in Oschersleben. And we have to say, one of the great things that we have seen over the course of the GT Summer Series so far is that confidence growing, and it certainly has grown. You can see both Mike and Urs Frick, teammates, just keeping cool. They found just about the only bit of shade. Just to mention though, Urs has been very busy because he's actually been running a marathon in the break between Oschersleben and between Nürburgring. I understand you were running a marathon. How was the marathon?
Sorry.
You were running a marathon,
Yeah,
the team told me.
It was amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah. 42 kilometers, Alpine marathon, that was very hard, yes.
That's pretty impressive. And then 2 weeks later to come and be in this heat. How tough is the heat going to be today?
Yeah, it's very, very hot today, but it's summer.
Yeah, it is.
It's great.
We like it. We'd rather this than rain, no?
Rain?
Yeah, you would rather the heat than the rain?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Maybe tomorrow?
Maybe tomorrow.
We will see.
We will see. Best of luck. Thanks for speaking to us. Yeah, very, very cool. The team just stopping us, myself and Andy, to tell us that he had been running that marathon. That is pretty cool. He'd run a marathon 2 weeks later. You're in Nürburgring. What a cool life that is. Right, just to show you the last few cars on our grid. So we have the 911 of Marco Reinbard. A more difficult weekend for him in Oschersleben when he spun out of the class lead. But another chance this weekend. And then comes the number 69 that will be driven by. Just to bring you to the last few rows of our grid, we have a brand new entry of the 88 of Amari Kirsch. Now he will be running in Cup X because he's running on a national licence, so in a different class to the other Cup cars. And then comes this car, the number 27, which will be driven by Tobias Erdmann. This is the leader in the GT4 class. And then to bring you to the final few rows of the grid, we have the number 10 of Bertold Grun, the number 30 of Alex Stanzer, who you can see just cooling under the umbrella. I think those umbrellas are going to be needed today because it is very, very hot. Then we come to the final row of the grid where we have the 2 East Racing cars. The number 420, another brand new entry of David Henn. Now, David has actually raced with us before in the Winter Series, but a few years ago, and now he comes in to the Summer Series and bringing up the rear of the grid, the number 5 of Tristan Geschwendner. That is our grid for the first race of the day. That race is coming up very shortly. One final look down the grid. And now we can hear, just before we go up to commentary, we can hear a little bit more from the people we spoke to earlier in the weekend. Well, as we said, plenty of new entries here with us this weekend at the Nürburgring, and another new entry in our GT3 AM field is Martin Hansen, and you're brand new to us here in the Gedlich Racing paddock. How are you, and how are you enjoying your time so far?
I'm very fine, thank you. And yes, this is the first time we race outside Denmark, and it's hard. You know, we have no team, we're coming alone. We try everything by ourselves. So really difficult, but people are very sweet here, and they help us a lot, so that's perfect.
Well, it's great to have you here. I mean, you've picked quite a scorcher of a weekend. It's going to be very, very hot in that car. But how have you been getting on with the track itself so far? Do you like it?
I really like it. I have only tried the track 2 times in simulator, and that's not 100% the same.
Yeah.
But coming out and feel the area, and also try to race on a legendary racetrack is perfect.
Yeah,
really, really wonderful.
I mean, you couldn't have picked a better weekend to come and join us.
the weather is so perfect. It's only like you tell, really hot, sweaty,
Yeah.
totally wet. And
How difficult is that going to be in the races with the sweat, with concentrating in a car that you just said the AC is not working?
I think this will not be the biggest problem, the heating, but I think the problem will be for us to stay with the car and the setups and everything, so we can run the car in so hot conditions. And also the tire pressure is really difficult when you don't know where you go. So we learn really much and do our best, so it's perfect.
Yeah, a lot to learn and a lot of enjoyment, I'm sure, will come this weekend. So you're racing in Denmark at the moment in the special saloons and in the Endurance Championship. What made you want to come over to Germany and do the GT Summer Series?
It's because for Denmark I raced for a Danish team, really nice people, and they have bring this car to me and learned me a lot. But I think I miss, try to race on a what you call it, a really racetrack. For Denmark it's small tracks, not for a GT3 car like that. So that's the point that give me to that one. I want to try race against all this really good competitors and also all the nice racetracks.
Well, you're in the GT3 AM class. That is also the class that our championship leader is in.
Yes.
So it's a very competitive class.
Yes, I have always, if I do something, I do it 100%.
Yep.
And why not if I have the chance to race this car? So that's why I go in that class.
Well, what's the goal this weekend then? What would you like to end the weekend like?
This is no secret. I 100% want to win, always. But this is not a chance because, like I said, we stand here alone. We need to do everything by ourselves. We have no data, we have no computer, we have nothing. So it's difficult. We have what we bring from home, and that can give us the best position we want. But hopefully we can go in top 3 position. I don't know. Let's see what is happening tomorrow. I know the speed is there. We have a little bit problems out for qualifying, not put the car in the right window, and also have to struggle with too much pressure in the rear tires. So the car was struggling around.
Well, let's wait and see if you can get that win. Thank you for speaking to us, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
I found a little bit of much needed shade here this afternoon, and I'm in the awning with Fabian Di Bianca, who's going to be racing with us once again this weekend. Fabian, welcome to a very warm Nürburgring. It's not normally this warm here, is it?
Yeah, it's actually quite warm. It's been 35 degrees Celsius today, so inside the Porsche Cup car especially, it's extremely hot. I think temperature's up to 50 degrees, so it's pretty challenging, but I'm up for it.
How challenging is that as a driver? Because obviously it's uncomfortable, right? But does it affect concentration, stamina? What does it affect the most?
I mean, obviously we have a lot of preparations for these type of weathers. We have saunas and etc. We have a lot of cardio, so I think in my case I'm well prepared. But still, in terms of stamina, my stamina is overall good. However, in the warm weather it's getting used, and I'm getting tired quicker because of the warm weather, but I think it's normal for everyone. And but overall I think it's okay and survivable.
Just about. It's only because I'm English. This is not survivable for English. I'm sure you'll be fine. It's been a solid season so far for you guys. Oschersleben was a little bit of a challenge though. There was some tough competition in Cup 2. How confident are you that you can both bounce back this weekend?
I'm very confident that we will be fighting for the top step on the podium.
Good.
I think Igor is also confident because his pace was very good today, especially in the morning. He had a very nice lap, and I think he's well prepared.
It's an iconic circuit, the Nürburgring. How much driving have you done here over the years? Is it a circuit you know well?
Last year I've been racing in a Porsche Make Series as well in the Cup car, so I know the track a little. We had some races in here, stood on the podium twice, so I have a little bit of experience for sure. And I hope to stand on the top step because I haven't been on the top step here. But hope we can do it tomorrow.
Excellent. Well, we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a fabulous weekend. We'll hopefully survive the tough weather here at the Nürburgring. And Igor and Fabian looking for some more strong results here in the GT Summer Series.
Well, we overlook the Heroes Arena, and after some expectation and some pre-event festivities, we are about ready to go racing. The drivers still in the Heroes Arena. I believe the start has just been delayed a few minutes back to 10 past the hour. But we see here the wonderful selection of cars that we've got for the GT Summer Series at the Nürburgring. It's our inaugural season, therefore it is our first time at the eldest permanent racing circuit in Germany, which celebrated its 99th birthday just a few short days ago. Since 1927, this facility has been the hotbed, the homestead of innovation and the search for speed, which is something the Germans have always done remarkably well, and we can even confirm that on the drive down here from Dusseldorf, some of the unrestricted sections of the Autobahn and some very determined BMWs that I had to get out of the way of. I'm sure you experienced similar, Andy. It's always exciting to come to venues with this much history, and when that also draws a very competitive entry list, it's a mighty combination.
Yes, I would argue that this is probably the most competitive grid we've had so far this season, and what a great venue for us to have assembled this grid. It's an intriguing set of races this weekend. I think the grids are of particular interest, and okay, championship leader Thomas Verstappen on pole position, as sort of has been the standard for this season, but I think he will have some more competition over the next day and a half or so, perhaps even within this race, and I think we've got a particularly competitive GT3 AM grid. Cup 2 always entertaining, and the GT4 AM championship battle pretty close as well at the moment. Tobias Erdmann and Bernd Scheibler only 6 points clear of Alexander Danzer and Gökay Kutlu as we arrive at this, the halfway point of the season already. So things starting to hot up, literally and metaphorically, and I think 3 very entertaining races ahead for us this weekend.
Yes, as we see there, the GT4 AM pole-sitting car of Tobias Erdmann, the Safe Art Motorsport number 27 machine. Worth noting that the little bit of a development after qualifying, Tristan Geschwendtner went very quick indeed in qualifying yesterday, and it was later discovered that quite by accident, the wrong restrictor was fitted to the car, so he was granted with some Stuttgart horses that he was not actually supposed to have. They've rectified that now. Car's been checked and put through scrutineering, but of course the times from qualifying were stricken from the record books, so Geschwendtner there in the number 5 East Racing car, starting on the back row alongside his teammate. East Racing expanding to a 2-car entry for this weekend. David Henn in the number 420 car, and David, who has been around the Gedlich world for a little while. He did a couple of events in 22 and 2023 in the Winter Series at Jerez, Barcelona et al, and I think a good chunk of Endless Summer to go along with that as well, our track days down in Iberia, and that's always a positive as well, to see some of the folks we maybe recognise from the Winter Series or from the Endless Summer paddocks, seeing that Gedlich are going summer racing and saying, yeah, okay, we'll try that too.
It's a nice little community that we're building up, isn't it? And, you know, it could now work the other way around as well. Some drivers maybe who have joined the Summer Series, who we've not seen before, might they be tempted down south for the Winter Series at the beginning of 2027? The dates, I believe, are published now for next year's Winter Series. We're all really looking forward to being a part of it. And, yeah, hopefully we'll welcome a few of these drivers over there too, where the conditions won't be quite so warm. We hope for nice weather heading down south at that time of the year, but it's definitely the warmest of the Gedlich racing events that we've been involved in so far. And as I said on the pre-show there, that presents so many challenges for the drivers. Really going to be intrigued, actually, to see who copes with this the best. And to some extent, we won't know until after the race when we speak to them and we see exactly how they feel after the race. But lap times, I think, will be telling. Who can be the most consistent? Qualifying times matter to some extent, but who can consistently run that pace over the course of a 30-minute race in these temperatures, managing tyres, managing brakes as well. These Pirelli tyres are more than capable of working in these temperatures, as are the cars, but only if you look after them properly. And if you overheat the tyres too early on, that's going to hurt you later on in the race. If you cook the brakes, if you run too close behind another car for too long, that can cause engine overheating, that will lose you power. So many things for the drivers to deal with here that many of them won't be all that used to dealing with.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. One driver who is fairly new, his GT3 racing debut, Antoine Beveridge Martini for Haupt Racing Team. He did some BMW 3 Series compact racing, the 318 Ti Cup here in the Nürburgring in 2024. He joined us in the Winter Series in 2025 in a Ferrari 296 Challenge car that he then did some GT Open with, and I'm reliably informed that that car is for sale if you've got some money burning in your pocket, the 296 Challenge, and that's on sale because he is focusing forward now on GT3 racing. And I was speaking to Antoine's father, Uli, who's there by his door at the moment. Uli, also a racing driver of some renown, was around in the early days of GT3, sharing Corvettes with Klaus Ludwig. And yes, he's kind of a bit of a mentor, and he's guiding Antoine in a direction where he thinks that he'll have the best chances of succeeding going forward. And for now, that means that they're expecting to do the rest of the Summer Series season. To your point, Andy, from earlier on, they are looking at doing some Winter Series as well. Of course, we've seen Haupt previously with their Mustangs in the Winter Series too. And yeah, that's going to be a really interesting little thing to see the development curve of Antoine potentially across the rest of the Summer Series and some of the Winter Series as well. And seeing him unlock pace, because while he is a very young driver, I think he is 19 still, I think he's still a teenager, but he's not done it conventionally. He's not gone through years and years of high-level karting. He's done some, but not quite like some of the other youngsters that we see come through. And yeah, watching that development path, I think is going to be very compelling.
Very much so, and I'm always happy to have a Mustang on the grid as well. You know me, I'm a simple man. Give me a V8 and a big chunky American muscle car, and I'm usually quite happy. Great to have that car on the grid. A grid that is sort of dominated by Porsches largely. Of course, many of those within the Cup 2 category, where it is Fabian Dibianca on pole. So we touched upon this earlier on. Fabian Dibianca, who partners Igor Klyer in that PTT racing car, is taking part in a sprint race for the first time. We normally see him do a stint in the 60 or the longer race on the Sunday afternoon, but he's having a go in the sprint, and I think he'll be a factor in this one. Yes. I think, putting it lightly, and he is going to be gunning for the front. He was very confident when I spoke to him yesterday that he could get some decent results. Cup 2 though, some interesting battles there. It's Mike Janza who leads the Cup 2 championship, arriving here at the Nürburgring. Klyer and Dibianca have slipped down to third after a bit of a trying weekend at Oschersleben. I think when I spoke to Fabian yesterday, he was quick to remind me that they did get a podium and that they were taking it easy to look after the car, but the point still stands. They are now 12 points off Mike Janza, and they need to try and get those points back. They have qualified on pole position for this race. Mike Janza, the next best of the Cup 2 cars, though, lines up right behind Fabian Dibianca, and he will have his hands full, I think, of Marco Reinbold and Urs Frick, who is fresh off running an Alpine marathon, we were told by one of his team members only a couple of weeks ago. He's a bit of an athlete, we are reliably informed, so again, could be an advantage in conditions like this. If you look after yourself, if you do a lot of long distance running, a lot of training outside of the car, that could pay dividends on a day like this.
I had a conversation with Urs Frick about an hour ago, and it largely consisted of saying in disbelief 3 seconds in relation to Fabian Dibianca's pace versus his. I think he's confident that he can find some speed, but the level of 3 seconds more might be a bit of a challenge. Of course, Gregor Drazel in the pink bull, the number 9 Leipart Motorsport entry, the Evo 1 spec Lamborghini Huracan. He was the main, I would say, launcher of fireworks where it came to Hockenheim, our first ever event. So great to have him back. He will be fighting very hard for that podium, and it is a very interesting second row of the grid as well, with Stefan Weininger in his first appearance of the GT Summer Series, someone who has done a lot of sparring with Thomas Westharp over the course of the last several years in GT3 racing. So Thomas Westharp in the CCS racing team. Audi will be starting this one on pole. He was the only driver to make it into the 156s, a 156.689. So he had a fairly strong qualifying session, and he'll be joined on that front row, as we've alluded to, by that wonderful Haupt Racing Team Ford Mustang, the 109 car of Antoine Beveridge Martini, the 109 Mustang. Of course, the Haupt Racing team have had so much success here at the Nürburgring, and that extends out, of course, beyond the GP circuit onto the Nordschleife. We must congratulate them as well, actually, because they took Ford back to the podium in DTM just last weekend with someone we're familiar with, Finn Wiebelhaus, and that was their first podium for Ford in 37 years since, of course, they were running the Fox body Mustangs in the early 90s. How times have changed, but the sound has not, and we thank them for that. Let's run through the grid in full then, as we've alluded to. Westarp and Berberich-Martini on the front row. Stefan Weininger on row 2 in Land Motorsport's first appearance, another hugely successful DTM team up there at the sharp end. Leipart Motorsport's Gregor Drassel in 4th position. Then it's Hermann Speck in the DB Motorsport Porsche 992 GT3R, and in 6th position, I'll wait for it to catch up with me here, is Fabian Dibionka in the PTT Racing Team number 77. We send our congratulations, of course, to Igor Klyer, who we'll see tomorrow, because he and the 4F guys, his clothing sportswear brand 4F, were partnered with Inter Europol, who won the LMP2 class of the Le Mans 24 Hours just last weekend. So they got some very good promotion and some time on camera for their efforts, again backing international level motorsport and sport in general with Polish athletes. The rest of the grid, the GT3 car, Martin Hansen in the 11991.2 GT3R. He's alongside Mike Janza for SA Performance in that Cup 2 machine. 9th and 10th place, Marco Reinbold in the XR Racing number 911 car alongside Urs Frick in the 69 SA Performance machine. Amory Kirsch in Cup X. He's running a restricted Porsche 992 Cup to meet the rules and regulations as it pertains to national license holders in Germany. He's alongside Tobias Erdmann in the Audi R8 LMS GT4. Alexander Danza is next. He's in 13th position alongside Bertold Grun in 14th place in his Audi R8 LMS GT3. In the back row of the grid, the East Racing Motorsport number 420. David Henn, joined by teammate Tristan Geschwendner. 16 cars set to take the start. We're going to go racing for 30 minutes here in the GT Summer Series. It's 4 rings versus a wild horse on the run down to the first corner. Audi versus Ford on the front row. Porsche versus Lamborghini on row 2. A good amount of manufacturer diversity at the front of the field. We're underway in the GT Summer Series for the first time at the Nürburgring, and running down in the lead it is Thomas Westarp. Now, as a GT3 Pro car, Antoine Berberich-Martini's Mustang is slightly more restricted than those GT3 cars around him. Maybe that's why Stefan Weininger has moved up into 2nd place. Gregor Drassel running wide at the first corner. He's side by side with the Mike Janza Cup 2 car, and Fabian Dibionka is already up into 4th position. We thought he'd get in amongst it with the GT3s, and so it's already proving to be the case. Drassel getting a little bit wild there on the inside of the 3rd corner of the lap, and Dibionka is defending up against Hermann Speck. So much for worrying about Cup 2, huh?
Yes, I don't think this is a huge surprise, though, to see him mixing it with the GT3 cars. But what a great start for Stefan Weininger then, up into 2nd position and going with Thomas Westarp at the moment, which we didn't really think would be the case based on qualifying times. There were about 7 tenths between these two in the favour of the Audi driver. But at least on this opening lap, Weininger looks quick, although he was very sideways out of the hairpin, and that will kill his momentum all the way up through the S's. It's such a steep uphill climb here, and he will now drop back away slightly from the Audi. It is an Audi at the front of the GT4 field as well, by the looks of it. The 27 Tobias Erdmann driven Seifert Motorsport R8, which has held on to its early advantage in GT4 round. But yes, very close, promisingly close, I'd say, at the front between these top 3 GT3 cars.
Absolutely the case. I think Martini will be a little bit frustrated to have dropped behind Stefan Weininger in the early stages, but Weininger has a good chunk more GT3 experience than young Antoine. Has been racing GT3s now for a little over 5 years. Granted, it's only, I think, his 3rd meeting in the 992 GT3R. He's not done too much with that car, which is new for 2026. He followed his team, Land Motorsport, over to Porsche at the end of the 2025 season. They come across the line then for the first time, and it is Westarp in at the lead. Weininger from Berberisch Martini, your top three. Then it's the first of the Cup 2 Porsches with Fabian Di Bianca at the wheel. Hermann Speck following in 5th place. Mike Janser in 6th position. Martin Hansen was in 7th place because Gregor Drassel just dived to his inside at the first corner. And unfortunately, I think there's been a drama for both, because Drassel at the top of the screen had a moment at turn 2, and Martin Hansen is facing the wrong way at the first corner. I didn't actually see whether there was contact, but it looks as if there's been a little bit of a moment there around P7 and P8.
Yeah, looks like it, doesn't it? Drassel was out quite wide. Hansen's obviously spun earlier on in the corner. Whether the two are related, I'm not entirely sure. We'll see whether Gregor is able to pick the pace back up again. That's something that Thomas Westarp is definitely doing out in front, just pulling a little gap now over Weininger, who's got plenty of attention from Antoine Berberisch Martini behind him. And then that gap back to the all-Porsche battle before the Cup 2 leader, Fabian Di Bianca, with Hermann Speck behind. Speck was also a little bit slow on the initial launch off the line, but then gained a few positions back through the first few corners, so he runs where he started in the DB Motorsport Porsche in 5th position. This, though, is the battle to watch, isn't it? Second place is looking pretty tasty now as Gregor Drassel begins the fight back through the field after that turn 1 altercation.
Indeed, with Weininger and Berberisch Martini, they're of course not only in separate classifications, GT3 Am for Weininger, GT3 Pro for Berberisch Martini. With that comes a little more ballast and a little bit more restriction as well on the car, of course. But it's also worth noting, of course, that neither of them really have a dog in the fight where it comes to the championship, so they don't need to worry. They can just put their sleeves up and have a little bit of a rumble. But I think that Weininger will arguably want to be focusing forward at Westarp, who he knows and has raced many times and would certainly like to rival. He'd prefer to do that than try and defend from Berberisch Martini, but the legs of the Mustang say otherwise as Berberisch Martini gets late on the brakes there and gets the car stopped. A little bit of a break of traction, but he keeps the car pointing in the right direction, and an easy move ultimately for second place made that look very textbook into the first corner. And Berberisch Martini, I think, is certainly going to be a threat for Westarp as this race goes on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, and it was crucial, I think, that he got that move made early, wasn't it? Because they're only about 1.7 seconds behind Westarp, who was starting to find a bit of form, wasn't he? So, yeah, that was a crucial move, made at a crucial time, I think. A similar situation, I think, really, for Hermann Speck, who looks a little bit quicker than Fabian Di Bianca at the moment, but is stuck behind the Cup 2 Porsche. Remember, those Cup class Porsches, a little bit quicker in a straight line than a GT3 car, so that will make the overtake a bit harder for the man who runs second in the GT3 Am Championship, Hermann Speck, in that car that he debuted last time out at Oschersleben, the upgraded Porsche 992, but again, uphill, loses ground to the Cup 2 example, which just has the legs in a straight line. That lead gap, Adam, I would say, is definitely coming down. Yes, in the first sector, wow, 6/10 quicker alone in that sector was Berberisch Martini than the race leader. They're going to be together, potentially, by the end of the lap.
Yes, I do wonder if David Schumacher is on the cans and somewhat provoking Antoine to go hunting for that race lead. And we will have David Schumacher as his co-driver, not just in the endurance race, the 50-minute pit stop race on Sunday afternoon, but David Schumacher is also going to be doing the sprint tomorrow morning, I'm reliably informed. So that is a favourite, if ever there was one, for that race. Hermann Speck still on the back of Fabian Di Bianca as they turn through the last bend and head back down the main straight. Hermann in the slipstream, but as we've alluded to, certainly as we get further down the straight, the lack of drag on that Porsche 992 Cup car really does pay dividends for Di Bianca up against Hermann, and Hermann's going to need to make a brave move, I think, to get around Fabian Di Bianca. We alluded to his slightly off start, and Hermann acknowledges openly. He says, I'm good once I'm in the rhythm of it, but the first lap or two I'm always a little bit too cautious and I just can't quite get that out of my system. Gregor Drassel has gotten past all of the GT4s again. He's back up into 9th overall ahead of Tobias Erdmann, and pleased to say that Martin Hansen has continued on around as well. He didn't visit the pits or anything, so that car undamaged if there was a tangle or whether there are separate incidents. Either way, we can see that Hansen is out there and running as he gets past David Henn. His next target will be Bertold Grun in the number 10 car, and that will be for GT3 AM P5. But good to see Hansen with us in just his second season of racing cars, although he's got a lengthy tenure in motocross on his resume prior to that, and coming down to Europe, or coming down to northern, or Germany. Let's just say he's coming down to Germany after racing in Denmark, and wants to see some of these bigger and, shall we say, more legendary circuits like the Nürburgring. And that was a little look there from Tristan Geschwendtner. He's got up to second in the GT4 AM class already, and Tobias Erdmann is under some pressure.
Yes, Tobias was actually 3/10 quicker than Geschwendtner on the previous lap, but I'd say in the first sector this time, Tristan is gaining again and took a very interesting line through the hairpin that time. This is the battle for the overall race lead, though, and Antoine Berberisch-Martini now looks to use all of the ponies under the hood of that V8-powered Ford Mustang to try and get within striking range of Thomas Westarp into the first corner. I don't think he's quite there. No, he's not, but he's later on the brakes as well, so it seems that in all areas the Mustang is performing well, and Thomas is just about able for now to keep him at arm's length. Now, how much of this is Thomas maybe trying to preserve the tyres, preserve the car? We're not yet a third of the way through the race. It is a possibility, isn't it, that Antoine is maybe asking a bit too much of the tyres in these early stages, and it might come back to bite him later, but the fact remains, right now the Ford looks the quicker of the two. Can he get close enough, though, to make a telling move?
Yeah, we'll wait and see. It's a long way to go at not even 1/3 distance in this race so far. Stefan Weininger still in shot as well there in third place. He would certainly like it if they started to really dice with each other, and he can scythe forward in the Porsche 992 GT3R Evo that is named Laura after his daughter, as a matter of fact. Great to see him enjoying himself here in the Summer Series paddock for the first time, and as a matter of fact his son is with him as well, the 9th generation, as he put it, of the Weiningers, because as you'll see on the side of that Porsche, it has the Weininger beer logo on it, and that is a brewery that's been operated by the family since 1666. Wow. And yes, he's the 8th generation, and the 9th generation is waiting to do some racing and some brewing, from what I understand. Berberisch-Martini there kicking up a little bit of gravel as they headed down towards the final sector of the lap. You see there that we're using the slightly quicker variant of that final chicane, which arguably takes away a braking zone and perhaps an overtaking opportunity, but it also increases the speeds towards the final corner, and if you're particularly brave on those curbs, you might end up getting to the inside of someone there.
It's a much more interesting chicane, isn't it? I'm sure the drivers enjoy the faster chicane more, and it's quite bumpy as well. You're going over a crest, the curb gives you quite a kick as well as you bounce your way through there, so it's a tricky chicane, and easy to lose quite big chunks of time there if you don't get it right. On that lap, advantage Westarp, who actually set his best lap of the race, 1:50.0. The fastest lap is 57.8 set by Berberisch-Martini a few laps earlier, but at the moment, Thomas a little bit more consistent. Maybe that goes some way towards supporting my earlier point, although in this part of the lap it looks like Antoine closes in. So first half of the lap maybe is advantage Mustang, and this, remember, is where he had a little go a lap ago. I'd say he's even closer this time, heading down the hill, has a better exit from the right-hander. He's been flashing the headlights non-stop for the last lap or so. Is he going to commit to the move? No, a defensive line taken by Westarp. They're both in deep, but I think coming out of the corner, yes, the Audi will remain ahead for now.
Berberisch-Martini able to run a little bit wider there at the bottom hairpin, the turn number 7 I think it is on the maps, and you have quite a lot of camber there, so you can sometimes run it a little bit deeper into the corner, carry more speed, and well, not really set up a move for the Schumacher S. That would be very challenging, although Hermann Streck was having a look as I say that, as if he heard me. Fabian de Bianca still under pressure from the driver of the number 7, 77 versus 7, and here is that GT4 AM lead battle. Tristan Geschwendtner there taking unusual line down into that particular sequence of bends, a little bit different from what I've seen, but he did allude to that actually. He said, you know, I take quite a different line from a lot of these guys around a lot of the track, and I think that works for me. So we'll see. Tobias Erdmann is certainly a good barometer based on what we've seen this year of Geschwendner's potential and his current performance level in that battle. Berberich Martini down the main straight he goes once again behind Thomas Westarp, whose fears and memories of a lonely race or two at Oschersleben I think are probably well in the rearview mirror now.
Well, I did say at Oschersleben, be careful what you wish for, Thomas, and he's now getting a real fight, as is Fabian Di Bianca. Hermann Speck round the outside at the first corner, but no, couldn't quite find the grip and the traction offline there, very dirty out wide through that first turn, and so Fabian Di Bianca knew where to place the car and was able to keep the GT3 spec Porsche behind, which is very late on the brakes into turn 3, a little too late, dare I say it, and Hermann Speck will drop another length or so behind the Cup 2 Porsche as they annihilate track limits coming out of turn number 4 and head out on to the left-hander at turn 5. That GT4 gap I'm intrigued to see between Erdmann and Geschwendner as well. Is Tristan still gaining? It's about 6/10 still. In fact, here they come. The yellow and black Cayman behind the white and black Audi. And they're in third position, the lighter yellow Porsche. That is Alexander Danzer, still keeping Berthold Grun's GT3 Audi at bay. But they have all been overtaken, as you, I think, have just said, by Martin Hansen. I did spot, by the way, top of the timing screen, incident between cars 9 and 11, no further action. So there was contact, but it was nobody's fault in particular. It's been decided by race control. And luckily, as you said, they've both been able to continue.
Yeah, that is good news, especially for Hansen and his first time here at the Nürburgring. Gregor Drasel has had many a race here at the Nürburgring in this car specifically. We've seen a lot of him in the German GT racing scene. Some dust being kicked up by Westarp and then by Berberich Martini as they come through the final corner. Onto this lap they go. It will be the completion of lap 7 here, going on to lap number 8, and we're bearing down on half distance in this one. Westarp really is having to focus forward here. It can be so easy to lull yourself into the trap of just paying far too much attention to what's going on behind you, but Westarp, very talented, of course, cut his teeth in junior single-seater racing, as he put it a lifetime ago in Formula Renault et al. Here in Germany, before coming back to GT racing after making a success for himself off the track, which arguably is probably the way to do it from a financial viability standpoint. And yes, that combined experience from the two phases of his career does make him one of the more challenging bronze drivers to race against for a young aspiring pro like Berberich Martini, and indeed it gives him a level of consistency that I think a lot of bronze drivers really struggle to attain.
Yes, and again, that will be put to the test more than ever today, perhaps, in these conditions, but he's doing well so far. We're halfway through the race now, almost exactly as I say that. He drifts a little bit wide down through the hairpin, but that's that line that you can take with the banking on that corner. You can run it deep and carry good momentum off the corner, and then you can see that gap stretches back out again as a result. But yeah, he's driving really well, Thomas Westarp, as we've seen all season long. Berthold Grun, meanwhile, powers past the GT4 Porsche there of Alexander Danzer and gains a position. Danzer, remember, along with his teammate Gökay Kutlu, second in the GT4 Ram Championship, 6 points adrift of Tobias Erdmann and Bernd Scheibler. So they're losing points to the championship leaders right now, and I think they'll be cheering on Tristan Geschwendner here. If he can get past the Audi, which he won't do if he keeps running wide like that, then he'll at least be limiting the damage being done in the GT4 Ram Championship.
Martin Hansen came into the pits last time by, unfortunately, in the Porsche 991.2 GT3R, so I think he may have had a little bit maybe of niggling damage or just another problem out on track, but he is into the pit lane. I did wonder why he dropped behind Tobias Erdmann on the timing screens, but wasn't visible to us, and unfortunately we now have our answers. Past the pit lane there goes Stefan Weininger in third position, and Hermann Speck is through into fourth place, and I think that happened somewhere in the middle sector. He's gotten around Fabian Di Bianca.
It was actually right at the end of the last lap. They came across the line last time, separated by a tenth, but it was Speck in front, so it was right at the end of the previous lap. He did try, remember, down into turn 1 a few laps ago, so I think the GT3 car perhaps now in the second half of the race starting to come into its own a little bit. The Cup 2 cars, obviously with less downforce and less aerodynamic grip in general, they are going to work the tyres maybe a little bit harder than a GT3 car, and I think Hermann tends to get quicker as the race goes on anyway, doesn't he? So Hermann Speck now makes the move. The trouble is he's dropped 12 seconds now to Stefan Wein and go ahead, so I think that might be as good as it gets for Hermann. Third place though within the GT3 AM class. Now GT4, this is about to get very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Tristan Geschwendtner has caught right up to the Audi of Tobias Erdmann, and they've been caught by the GT3 Audi behind as well. So this is going to get very interesting if Berthold Grun starts to challenge Geschwendtner and then maybe challenge Erdmann. Could that be Tristan's opportunity?
Well, here he comes now, Berthold Grun dragging past Tristan Geschwendtner as they run down to the first corner, and Geschwendtner side by side with Berthold Grun. Berthold Grun to the inside, and he is going to split the GT4 AM battle, is he? Yes, Geschwendtner can't get alongside into turn 2. Good to see that Berthold is getting in amongst it a little bit. I think he struggled in the first couple of events. Maybe the car hasn't been quite where he's wanted it, but the 75-year-old racer who's done everything on 2 wheels and 4 basically over the course of his lengthy tenure in motorsport, he's starting to get in amongst it. Yes, he's in a GT3 car up against GT4s, but all the same, it is nice to see some steps forward as the year goes on.
Yeah, a step in the right direction for sure, and he'll be enjoying himself, which is what we want really. We want all of these drivers to have some fun out there as Fabien de Bianca wrestles the Cup 2 leading Porsche out of the final turn. It's Mike Janza who's second in Cup 2. He's got about a second and a half in hand over Marco Reinbold, who's then 5 seconds or so clear of Urs Frick. So Cup 2 actually a little more tame in this race than perhaps we've become accustomed to seeing. The lead battle heads on to another lap. This is the 10th lap of the race as we tip towards 2/3 race distance, and this is when I would now start to expect to see maybe a bit of tyre degradation, a bit of fatigue setting in maybe for the drivers. It's going to be a fascinating final 10 minutes because the pressure has been relentless, hasn't it, from Antoine Berberisch-Martini. Every lap heading into this section in particular, he gets within a car length or so of the race leader, but so far no mistakes coming from Thomas Vestarp, who again is keeping that 0.8 of a second or so cushion. I think now he's learning, isn't he, where Berberisch-Martini is quicker, and that's making it even more difficult for the Hat Racing team driver to make the pass.
Yeah, and I think through the Schumacher S and then here through 10 and 11, he's Berberisch-Martini is kind of watching Vestarp slightly pull away, and I think that section in particular lends itself very well to the mid-engined Audi, doesn't it? A little bit more rotation in those corners is very useful. Berberisch-Martini with a particularly good run there, I must say, by the looks of it, on the run to the chicane. I'm interested to see how close he is coming out of the final corner this time. Meanwhile, Berthold Grun is now ahead of all of the GT4s, and that means that Tristan Geschwendtner is once again right on the back of the Tobias Erdmann Audi. Erdmann continues to lead GT4 AM, but not by a lot in the 27 car. One of 2 cars, of course, that were supposed to be with us this weekend, but the sister machine that Bernd Scheidler was going to drive in these 2 sprint races solo unfortunately had a bit of a moment, and I believe we'll see Bernd in this 27 car in race number 2, and there has been a change for the lead, but where did that happen? I think it may have been on the run down to that chicane.
Turn 1, I think. No, you're right. Sorry, they changed before the line. Sorry, correct myself. Yeah, so it was possibly into the chicane or the last corner.
It looked like a good run.
Yeah, he was very close, wasn't he? And now he's unleashed. I think Antoine Berberisch-Martini will probably get away now from Thomas Vestarp. And we didn't see where it happened, but the Hat Racing team Ford Mustang is into the lead, and Thomas Vestarp is perhaps now staring at what would be his joint worst finish of the season so far. He has only failed to win one of these races. He had a disastrous second place in the first round of the season. Okay, this is not a full season championship rival that's ahead of him, so it's not a complete disaster. He's still outscoring those that count. He still leads his class, of course, but an overall race victory is now perhaps slipping away.
And 2 second places at Hockenheim, to be fair, but one of them was a P1 in class, and he's had a really interesting season to this point, with 4 wins in a row on the board at the moment. Hockenheim race 3 and the sweep at Oschersleben, but that overall streak does look like it may come to the end. Not that it necessarily affects it doesn't affect the GT3 AM standings as you alluded to, Stefan Weininger still not a million miles away. He's 6.8 seconds back from the Audi last time across the line, so there or thereabouts, but I think Verstappen should be more than safe as it pertains to that threat from behind. New personal best last time by from Bert Olgrun, now that he's ahead of the GT4 battle, and that GT4 battle has started hotting up. Geschwendtner is through into the GT4 AM lead, and Tobias Erdmann is now under threat from Alexander Danza, who's quietly snuck up without us fully noticing. Here he is with Erdmann then looking to try and move past for second place in class here. Danza, the motor mechanic, and is there an issue for Erdmann? Because he indicated there to say, no, I'm staying on the right. I think Tobias Erdmann might be dealing with an ailing Audi.
Well, this is big for the GT4 AM Championship then. If Tobias non-finishes this race, which could happen, then I think he'd lose the points lead to Alexander Danza and Gökay Kutlu. Here, meanwhile, is Gregor Drasel continuing to pick his way through traffic. He sits 6th position at the moment, 4th in GT3 AM. But yes, that is interesting then. Hopefully Tobias Erdmann can bring the car home. 7 minutes of the race to go. He might be able to limp home and should still be able, well, he will hang on to third place points, of course, because there are only 3 GT4 AM class cars entered, but that is not ideal. He's gone from perhaps being on course for a class win to now just struggling home to salvage whatever points he can.
Yes, and I think that he may, with Danza past him, he may elect to just pull in, because he will have done enough of the race to be classified at this point anyway. So if the car is ailing, we might see him into the pits, but that remains to be seen. We haven't really mentioned Amaury Kirsch. He's running at the back of the overall order in 15th place as our sole Cup X entry. Amaury, who's I think only done 1 or 2 races prior to this weekend. Certainly in the NATC series in Oschersleben a couple of weeks ago, he made an appearance, but still on a national licence. And again, we're seeing that drivers with national licences can compete in faster cars, but they have to be restricted down to a performance level of 3 kilos per horsepower, and that is what we have in the case of Amaury Kirsch, who's very busy this weekend, because he's not only doing our 3 races, but he's doing another 2 races on one of the other ADAC Racing Weekend Championships here at the Nürburgring today. So he's got a lot going on, staying extremely busy, but a lot of racing drivers prefer things that way around. Thomas Verstappen certainly told us that he prefers a busy race, and after keeping Berberish Martini behind, he's now just watching that Mustang pull away lap on lap. The gap out to 3 seconds, 2.977 at the line, and Antoine Berberish Martini is within 5.5 minutes here of potentially winning his first ever race in a GT3 car, which certainly would be a very positive start for him.
And he had to fight for it as well, obviously, with a slightly poor start, got back into second and then hounded Thomas Verstappen for the lead, and eventually found a way through, perhaps through a little mistake for Thomas. We didn't see exactly how it happened, but it was just that relentless pressure, I think, and the Mustang outlasting the Audi maybe in the warm conditions. Another battle that's starting to brew, by the way, is the one for second in Cup 2. Mike Janza, who is the championship leader in Cup 2 by only 8 points over Marco Reinbold, is being caught by Marco. They were actually only half a second apart at the end of the previous lap. They're 7/10 apart now, but those two getting very close together, and that could be, again, significant in the context of the Cup 2 Championship, with the third place car in that championship on course for a class win. Mike Janza really doesn't want to lose any more points, so if we get a chance to see that, that could be an entertaining scrap to take us to the checkered flag.
Christian Geschwendtner was not easily yielding to overall race leader Antoine Berberish Martini there as they came through the turns 9 and 10 of the lap, or rather turns 10 and 11 of the lap. That was a little bit of a moment, I think, for Berberish Martini. He thought the inside was beckoning, and then it was not all of a sudden. But of course, Geschwendtner has every right to be there and can continue to try and hold his momentum, because he's only got 2 or 3 seconds worth of time over Danza in second in class. Stefan Weininger has closed in quite significantly on Thomas Verstappen. That gap has been halved effectively over the course of the last couple of laps. I think that's largely been rough rolls of the dice in traffic for Thomas Verstappen, but it was up in the 6 or 7 odd second bracket. It's now at 4.1.
Well, hopefully it's just traffic, or is he maybe starting to run into some of those issues that I touched upon earlier on, because he was clearly having to push quite hard to keep the lead, and maybe he's asked a little bit too much. Let's see, 3 and a bit minutes to go. I don't think Stefan Weininger's going to catch Thomas Vestart, but that could be intriguing if he gets any closer. There is the Audi heading down the hill. And there, the grey Porsche behind is definitely starting to loom larger in the mirrors, although now the traffic's swinging the other way, I suspect. Let's see what the first sector time is. Well, 1/4 of a second quicker than Vestart, but he needs a bit more than that.
Yeah, Weininger, who spoke to a little bit earlier on, 21 years in racing. He reckons his first race start proper was in the VLN, naturally, now the NLS. And that was in 2005 in a Seat. These days, of course, has been focusing on GT3s, and that's not only been at the German level, but also in Creventic events as well. He's done some long-distance stuff with Land over the last few seasons in Creventic, but really good to have him with us this weekend in the summer series. He knows he'll be back for Hockenheim. He thinks he might be busy for Spa, unfortunately. But we'll wait and see whether we might see him again. Antoine Berberich-Martini is going to start what should be the penultimate lap of the race. He's going to break the beam just in time to make it 2 more laps, and that could be tricky for Thomas Vestart. We'll see what the loss is across the line. That's just ahead is not Thomas Vestart. That's Bertold Grun just ahead of Stefan Weininger. The gap has gone back out to 4.9 seconds across that lap, so I think Vestart is okay. But certainly Weininger has been managing that traffic very well.
Yes, I think you're right. I think it was just traffic, because Vestart now back into a 2-minute 0, a high 2-minute 0, but that's about the same pace he was running, and it's about the same pace that Antoine Berberich-Martini is running. So I think Thomas was just a little unlucky negotiating some of those lapped cars, and has now managed to get back to a positive pace, a solid pace that hopefully should allow him to retain second position. That second place battle in Cup 2 is still tight though, less than half a second between Mike Janza and Marco Reinbold. They're about to cross the line, actually. I just heard them go past, and they're only 3/10, and they've changed. Yes, so through has gone Reinbold, so that is significant. Then it's not enough to lead to a change of championship lead, but it could come down now to 4 or 6 points between the two of them if Reinbold can stay ahead to the flag.
Yes, so that is certainly a big move within the Cup 2 standings. Of course, Di Bianca in the lead in the Cup 2 class, where there is no Pro-Am splits among the drivers, and young Di Bianca filling in for Igor Klaya, who's on business today, doing a great job in the number 77 car, as we all rather expected. Some 21.8 seconds clear of that battle for second in the Cup 2 class. And I think said battle is going to run to the flag. The question is, will Reinbold still be ahead once they get there? Antoine Berberich-Martini coming around the final corner, and he will start the final lap this time by, unless he lifts out massively, which he does not. We will now go on to the final lap of racing here in the first race of the weekend in the GT Summer Series. Ford Mustang GT3 leading the way on its debut appearance in the category. Haupt Racing Team, who we've seen racing and seen winning in the GT Summer Series previously, and it's always great to have them. Of course, they've been at the Nürburgring a lot this season with their NLS campaign leading into the N24, which wasn't the most successful weekend for Haupt, who've had some great successes on the 24-hour circuit, inclusive of the Nordschleife. But Antoine Berberich-Martini starting a new chapter here. First time racing under the Haupt umbrella. First time running with the guidance of David Schumacher. A lot of his early lessons and early coaching came from Luca Ludwig, the son of Klaus Ludwig. And now under the tutelage of David Schumacher. Of course, the son of Ralf Schumacher, Grand Prix winner. Berberich-Martini through the Michael Schumacher S for what will be the final time in this race. Vestart was 4.4 seconds back at the line and about 0.8 off the pace of Antoine Berberich-Martini. So it looks like Martini is doing just about everything right at the moment. Just 3 more corners, the chicane and the final turn between Berberish Martini and a win on debut in the GT Summer Series, a win in his first GT3 racing appearance. The Martini garage-backed Ford Mustang GT3 from the Haupt Racing Team stable. It comes out of the final corner. The checkered flag waves for Antoine Berberish Martini, a race winner at his first attempt in the GT Summer Series. Behind him, GT3 AM winner Thomas Vestarp extends his lead in that championship consideration. Stefan Weininger rounds out the overall podium and takes the second place points in the GT3 AM class. Hermann Speck will follow through in 4th overall, ahead of Greg Drassel, and then Cup 2 winner Fabian Di Bianca should be 6th overall. And it's still very close between Marco Reinbold and Mike Janza. Reinbold has remained ahead of Janza for now, but as they come into the final sector, the last few corners, I wonder if we might see some late drama between Reinbold and Janza as they continue to fight for the runner-up honours in Cup 2. Cup 2 winner Fabian Di Bianca across the line to the delight of the PTT racing team. Next across the line there, a lap down and some way off the rest of the GT4 AM field, Tobias Erdmann with his issues at the end of the race seemingly stunting his progress. There is that runners-up battle in Cup 2, and Reinbold is going to hold on to the position that he inherited a couple of laps ago. Marco Reinbold takes second place points and pulls a couple back up against the Cup 2 points leader Mike Janza. Next across the line will be Urs Frick in the number 69, the other SA Performance Anstalt car, the teammate to Janza, and that is all but 2 cars now across the line. Amory Kirsch and David Henn left across the line. There is Kirsch, who will take the win of the Cup X class by default, being the only driver in the category. Let's take a look at the results though. Antoine Berberish Martini, your race winner in the Haupt Ford Mustang. Thomas Vestarp for CCS Racing Team in the Audi in 2nd. Stefan Weininger 3rd place ahead of Hermann Speck, who rounds out the GT3 AM class podium. Gregor Drassel 5th ahead of Cup 2 winner Fabian Di Bianca. Marco Reinbold beating Janza home for 7th overall and 2nd in the Cup 2 class ahead of Urs Frick in 9th overall. And Bertold Gruen rounding out the overall top 10, his best finish of the season in 10th overall. Good performance from him. In 11th place and winning in GT4 AM as he predicted to me. He made his way through the field and took the class win. Tristan Geschwendner continues to develop as a young talent. Alexander Danza taking 2nd in the GT4 AM class, and Tobias Erdmann taking 3rd. And, well, for one, you can see the story, visually speaking, on Antoine Berberish Martini. You can see the physical effort that has taken. And you can see the embrace there from Father Uli as well. That's lovely to see. Certainly a very supportive father is Uli Martini. He was very sympathetic to the cause of motor racing, has done a lot of driving over the years, and great scenes to see father and son embracing. I understand that Uli isn't done with racing yet and might yet roll up the sleeves and have a go in the Summer Series a bit later on. Stefan Weininger and Thomas Vestarp debriefing. 2nd and 3rd overall, 1st and 2nd in the GT3 AM classification as well. And it looks to me as if Izzy is ready to go with Antoine Berberish Martini. Let's go down there now.
Well, I have our winner alongside me. I mean, what a GT3 debut. You went straight for the water after the race. Oh my word, that was tough. You had to fight for that because the start was a bit tricky. You dropped back, but then you just relentless pressure on Thomas for the rest of the race. Talk us through it.
Yeah, it was really good. Besides the brutal heat in the car as well, of course, it was a good fight. It was a long fight, I think, with fair conditions. I pushed him a little bit into a mistake. It's not a waste of stuff, but I'm super happy with the result, and the car is just, hearing that V8 also gives you that extra motivation, and I think that's what did it for me today.
Yeah, well, we're loving having the Mustang on the grid. I can't imagine how much you're loving driving it. You've got your dad here as well, who came and gave you a massive hug. How much does that mean to have his support?
It's incredible because he also raced and I'm doing this kind of family thing, and it's just, you know, it's just a nice time also for memories with the family, and it's just more special if the family's there to see it.
It's very special. Right, I do need to ask you though about the heat because of course, as you just said, I mean, the water's basically gone. How tough was that to kind of keep the concentration? Because not only physically, but mentally, that's tough in what's essentially just a box of heat, right?
First of all, we have 3 kilos less. We don't have any AC in the car, so it's even worse. But also, of course, you have the temperature with the wheels. It's hard with the conditions in this brutal heat, but inside the car, it's, I think, more of a fight with the mentality to stay concentrated every lap and give it your best. But we did it. I'm really happy about it.
And you got another chance tomorrow as well. I know David, I understand, will be taking the second sprint race, but you'll be back in the pit stop race as well. How much are you looking forward to that?
Oh, it's going to be great. Having David as on my side is also good because he just gave me so much tips over the weekend, and it really helped to improve the time, and probably without of him I wouldn't be on the top now, so really happy to have him here and excited for tomorrow.
Awesome job, congratulations, enjoy it, drink more water, and we're going to carry on because I think I can just ever so quick. Now I am going to have to come and weave through because everybody's got the as well. You said to me at Oschersleben that you wanted a bit more of a battle. That was quite a battle. That must have been exciting.
Yes, I have a battle. It was a nice race. I enjoyed good competition.
He put a lot of pressure on you the entire way. You've dealt with it so well. And then was there a mistake that let him past, or was it just you couldn't keep him behind any longer?
Yes, I have a little mistake in the last corner, and he overtakes, and then he was so fast I can't catch him.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic for us to watch as well. Just tell us as well, I mean, he's just said to me the heat inside the car is absolutely brutal. How was it for you? Sweating?
Yes, sweating, and it's very hot today, but 30 minutes, it's okay.
Yeah, and another one tomorrow, and a 50-minute as well to deal with.
Yes.
Congratulations, well done. Right, I think Stefan is just here as well. Stefan, I'm going to grab a word with you too as well. First of all, welcome to the grid, because it's the first time that we've seen you. Great race to start, a P3. You had a great start, you were up into P2, but then just dropped back slightly. Just talk me through it.
I'm an old man, that's why. No, I had a good start and I had a good pace, but I saw the Mustang behind me, and I know he's faster, and I let it through, and then I had a almost lonesome race.
Yeah, it was a little bit lonely in points, but you've got 2 more races now. What have you learned for maybe the races tomorrow?
Tomorrow I stand in the first grid, and I will see behind Thomas, and we're challenging. We challenge a lot the whole season, and I will prepare. I like it.
And you've raced with Thomas before as well, haven't you, against him? So it's kind of a bit of competition.
Yes. I know him from other series, and we are good friends and good, fair challenge.
Well, it's great to have you on our grid. Congratulations, a podium on debut with us. I'm sure we will see more of the same again. The podium itself will be coming up very shortly, but there's a word from our top 3. Adam, what a race.
So then the interviews are complete down there with Izzy. Thanks to our drivers for their insights there. But great to see Antoine Beveridge-Martini in such great spirits. No surprise that the bonnet is immediately off the Ford Mustang GT3. The temperatures will be high under the bonnets and engine covers of all of these race cars in this punishing heat that we've got here this weekend. There have been measures and changes to events really all across Europe this weekend. One, in fact, in France was even cancelled just because of how punishing the heat was in central France. Certainly a challenge for all of our competitors and teams this weekend to try and consider the car and have some mechanical sympathy in these very warm conditions, and the drivers, I'm sure, will feel like they've had a very intense workout at the wheel in this extreme heat here in the GT Summer Series. The top three cars there in formation. Stefan Weininger with a overall podium, and of course second place finishing GT3 Am on his debut in the GT Summer Series. Great to have him with us. Great to have Land Motorsport with us as well, who of course are competing primarily this year in the DTM. And Land in their first season back as a Porsche representative. Of course, the history between Land and Porsche is pretty well-trodden ground. Porsche Carrera Cup successes in the past. Christian Land, of course, racing and Wolfgang Land racing Porsches over the years to great success. Stefan Weininger, the latest driver to be right at the sharp end in a Porsche with Land. Let's go to Marcus Gedlich with Izzy.
Well, I thought I would come and grab another chat down here as the Heroes Arena is once again filling up with not only the cars but also plenty of spectators. And someone who was spectating and probably enjoying that is Marcus Gedlich alongside me. What a battle we saw there. I mean, GT3 debut for Unswan, and he was putting relentless pressure the whole way.
Yeah, absolutely, and he came from quite a distance and closed up and managed to pass by. That was really exciting. But not only in GT3, also in GT4 class. I couldn't wait to see the fight between Toby Erdmann, who was very experienced on a GT4, with Christian Quentner closing from behind. And it was a shame that Toby had to back off due to a technical issue, because I would have loved to see the direct fight.
I think that's what's quite nice about this series as well, is that we've got so many different battles going on within the classes. And something that you've just said as well, you know, we've got people like Tristan who made their debut with us in cars versus somebody like Tobias who has so much experience. And that's exactly what you wanted from this series, isn't it? To kind of have that level playing field where there can be those battles.
This is exactly what we wanted, and not only between equal drivers, but also between the amateurs and more professional, for example, silver drivers coming in, because we try to equalize the field as much as we can within the regulations given. And we've seen these fights in Oschersleben already, and I think this will continue this way. At least this is what we want to achieve.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so nice as well to see the grid have grown over the course of the season, which is exactly what we wanted. The more people we get into our paddock, the more battling that we see. And it's so nice to see how the summer series is growing.
Yeah, it is. And it will be growing even more during the rest of the season, because Spa and Hockenheim, the final, is going to come. And we're expecting 3, 4, 5 cars more in these races as well. So we look forward very much.
Well, we certainly do. Final question before I let you go and find some shade. With this heat, would you want to be driving in the cars?
Not in my current shape. When I was a professional, I did, and it was normal. So the guys have to cope.
Yeah, you just have to get on with it, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you for speaking to us. Go and find some shade and enjoy it. Always great to speak to Marcus. Definitely very, very true. You have to keep going, you have to cope, and a lot of these drivers will have been finding many, many ways for them to cope over the lead up to the weekend and now in that first race.
So great to hear from Marcus Gedlich, who's very much savouring this first GT Summer Series season. Great to have him with us in the paddock again. Of course, as a racing driver, Marcus Gedlich has had a good amount of success in at the Nürburgring in the what was the VLN series at the time, now known as the NLS. Had some very good performances driving cars like the famous Gertrag BMW M3 E46 back in the 2000s. And prior to that, of course, in the DTC series, where he was a champion, but these days very much enjoying leading the charge with his Gedlich Racing Company. And the GT Summer Series, just the latest of some very exciting projects that are ongoing and some incoming that we're very excited to tell you about in the coming weeks and months. The GT Summer Series still in its first season, and we're seeing a lot of drivers such as this man, Stefan Weininger, coming in and giving it a go, and I think we'll see a lot more of the establishment of German GT racing, particularly the AM drivers gravitate towards this series in the coming rounds and indeed coming seasons. We may even have a bit more of an international feel for the event at Spa as well. I understand that the podium is not far away. Andy McEwen, of course, as always, in charge, master of ceremonies down there by the podium, and he'll talk us through the classes and the winners in the next few moments. And there he is, just waiting for his cue. And the top threes from classes will make their way on for the celebrations, and I'm sure if there is any champagne or really any fluid on ice, they will use it.
So we are ready to go with our first podium presentation of the weekend for the GT Summer Series. A big crowd of team members and fans gathered around the Heroes Arena. We are going to start with our Cup 2 podium, and our third place driver in Cup 2, the championship leader in the class, Mike Janza. Well done, Mike. He's finding a shaded area somewhere, I think, but will make his way over onto the podium. Well done, Mike. Third step for the SA Performance driver. Second position in Cup 2, Marco Reinbold. There goes Marco, second in the championship as well. Good points scored there, as is the case for our class winner in Cup 2 in his first ever sprint race in the category, Fabian Di Bianca. And even gets the klaxons blaring in celebration of a race victory. Fabian Di Bianca then wins for the 4F PTT racing team, and he will now be handed his trophies. They're ready to go out onto the podium for all of our top three drivers, and a significant race that in the context of the Cup 2 Championship as well. The Championship leading car finishing only third, and the car that's third in the points, that number 77 example, managing to claim a very significant race win. So they gather together on the top step of the podium for the photographs. A final round of applause then for our Cup 2 podium finishers. Excellent stuff. We move on next then to GT4 Pro-Am. Just the one driver to welcome onto the GT4 Pro-Am podium, David Henn. Where is David? Looking out into the crowd. There he is, onto the top step. He will go. Couldn't find the podium then, but he does make his way over. The East Racing Motorsport driver, onto the top step you go. And he will receive the winner's trophy, the only GT4 Pro-Am entry. And I'm sure he'll be looking forward to getting involved in the overall GT4 battles as the weekend goes on. He will pose on the top step. And a round of applause for our GT4 Pro-Am race winner. Just pose for the photos. And he's free to go. David Henn then wins in GT4 Pro-Am. GT4 Am is up next. Third position in GT4 Am, Tobias Erdmann. Well done, Tobias. Clearly had some sort of problem at the end of the race, but valuable points scored for the Seyfarth Motorsport driver, who again was leading the championship coming into this weekend. Second place in the class, second in the championship coming into this round, Alexander Danza. There he is. Again, he was hiding in the shade. Brings a young member of the fan club out onto the podium with him, the WNS Motorsport driver, with again a solid points haul and a high five from Tobias. That's nice to see as he makes his way onto the second step of the podium. The top step, though, for the second time this season belongs to East Racing Motorsport, Tristan Geschwendner. And he gets gets a big cheer from the East Racing team, who are very happy to see their man on the top step after a hard-fought battle there. He didn't lead all the way, but he fought his way through to the front after putting a lot of pressure on Tobias Erdmann, and Tristan Geschwendtner with a big smile on his face, as you would expect, debuting in the Summer Series. This is his first season of racing anything, and he's already starting to make a habit of winning these races. A fabulous effort. Again, they'll group themselves together on the top step of the podium and pose for the photographers. A round of applause then for our GT4 AM podium finishers. Well done, guys. They vacate the podium. We next welcome our GT3 Pro class winner and the overall winner of the race in his first race in GT3, Antoine Berberisch-Martini. And the Hout Racing team are very happy with that. A brilliant start to the weekend for the HRT Ford Mustang driver. And Antoine Berberisch-Martini again had to fight for that one. Started on the front row, slipped back early on, and then had a race-long battle with Thomas Westarp, from which he came out victorious. And he will hold the winner's trophy aloft in the sunshine here at the Nürburgring. Congratulations, Antoine Berberisch-Martini wins the first race of the weekend for the GT Summer Series and gets a GT3 Pro victory as well. We're not done with the podium though. We've got our GT3 AM drivers to bring out next, starting with our third place driver, Hermann Speck. Out onto the podium he goes. It's a 5th class podium finish of the season for the DB Motorsport Porsche driver. Second position, Stefan Weininger. The Land Motorsport crew debuting in Summer Series this weekend. Great to have them on the grid, and Stefan on the podium. The race window, a 6th victory in class, goes to our championship leader, Thomas Westarp. Well done, Thomas, on to the top step. It wasn't an overall race victory this time, but it is a win in the class, and that's what really matters from a points perspective. I'm sure he'd have loved to have won the race, but I hope he enjoyed the battle. It's something that I know he said he was hoping for as we moved further into the season. So Thomas Westarp celebrates the race win, and he'll go again tomorrow. 2 more races tomorrow, of course, for the GT Summer Series drivers, and different drivers jumping into some of the cars for that second race tomorrow morning, and that's going to be well worth tuning in for and watching. So one last round of applause then, everyone, for our GT3 AM podium finishers. And so that concludes our first race of the weekend, and possibly you could argue the race of the season so far, Izzy Browning.
Yeah, I need to take my sunglasses off so I can see you, but oh my word, what a race, and what a debut for Antoine as well. That was absolutely fantastic, and you could just see how much it meant to him when he got out of the car and his dad was right there. I mean, I know it was sweaty, and that's probably the sweatiest hug ever, but a massive hug and big congratulations. And actually, we were saying, for Thomas Westarp, you know, you said in Oschersleben, count himself lucky now, because there will be others to challenge him, and today there were.
Yeah, I mean, he's fortunate in a way that the HRT car is not entered into the GT3 AM class, but actually in Thomas Weininger, I think he could have a threat tomorrow as well. Thomas should get quicker as the weekend goes on, so yeah, he needs to keep banking the points. You never know who's going to turn up for the last few rounds. They all score points, and that could have an effect on his championship aspirations, so yeah, he'll be happy, I think, to have netted those points today.
Yeah, it's certainly good. I think also, as well as, I was just speaking to Marcus Gedlich, and he said the battle in GT4s as well, you know, with Tobias having that issue at the end, and Tristan Geschwendtner growing in confidence. I think we've got something on our hands there as well.
He's a proper talent, isn't he, Tristan, and a really cool dude as well, a nice guy to have on the grid. But yeah, the GT4 Championship tightening up, and Cup 2 as well. Yep. The top 3 teams in Cup 2 finished in inverse order that time, so the 77 car, 3rd in points, getting a win. That really tightens things up there as well. We expected Cup 2 to be close as we went through the season, and that's proven to be the case.
Yeah, and it always is in our winter series as well, so it's kind of nice to see the patterns coming over to the summer series as well. Right, well, Andy and I are suitably warm, I think, and we are going to now take a break, go and get a nice cold glass of water, and for you, we will be back tomorrow morning. We've got 2 races coming up tomorrow, and we have the second of the 30-minute sprint races, and then finally we will round out the weekend here in Nürburgring with the 50-minute pit stop race. Join us tomorrow. We will see you then.
Gimme, this life so sweet.